everyone, my name is Chloe and welcome to my second half of July wrap up. So if you haven't seen one of these videos, what I do is that I tell you the stats for the second half of the month or the first half of the month, whatever, and then I go through the books in the order that I read them, but I will start with middle grade and then go to adult. So I have, if you're new to the channel, I have a 5, 3, and 1 year old, and normally they love reading chapter books. Every night we read in bed and throughout the day and all that kind of stuff. If we ever have transition times, we read, and they love chapter books. We have found tons of series we like. You guys know this. Well, lately I have been taking out more, a couple things have happened. I have been taking out more picture books for different like school topics that we're talking about. And every week we have gymnastics, and the library is on the way home, and we stop there with some friends and have like another little play date. And so my girls then have been picking a ton of picture books. And so this month I have read a lot less middle grade chapter books because I'm not going to talk to you about all the picture books we're reading and all of that. So we've read a little bit less of that, and my stats reflect it. So I also have been a little bit slumpy here in July. It's August now, but here in July I was a little bit slumpy just because I got overwhelmed. I took too much out from the library digitally and couldn't do it, and I was juggling too many readathons and things and got a little overwhelmed. And I'm happy to say that my reading was still successful. But I had to push pretty hard for it, and I don't like that. That's not the point. The point is not to like have numbers and have books to talk about necessarily. So let's just get into the stats. So in the second half of July, from the 16th to the 31st, I read 13 books. That's 3,765 pages, which is 235 pages per day. So still, like, I'm reading a lot, but like I said, a lot of that was because I felt pressure, not necessarily because I was enjoying it. However, we'll get to it. It's 290 pages per book. So normally that's a little bit more like 250 because I'm reading more like half and half, middle grade and adult, and this month it was a lot heavier adult skewed. I read 9 novels and 4 chapter books, and that's 9 adult and 4 middle grade. 7 were from my shelf and 4 were from somewhere else, so that feels really good. I read 8 from Libby, 4 from the library, and 1 from NetGalley. 9 were on audio and 4 were physical, so I don't think I did any physical reading of my own this second half of the month. 2 were new releases and 11 were backlist. And then as far as genre goes, it was kind of a hodgepodge as it always is. I had 4 mystery thrillers, 4 contemporary, and then 1 each of Christian fiction, historical, nonfiction, romance, and sci-fi fantasy. So again, all over the board. And as far as star ratings go, you're not going to really see it reflected that I was kind of feeling pressured because I actually had some really good stuff. So I read 1 2-star, 3 3-stars, 1 3.5, and 8 4-stars, which 4 stars for me is pretty good. 5-star means like an all-time favorite. 4-star means pretty good. So the average was 3.58, and that feels pretty good. So let's get into the book. So I'm going to start with middle grade. The first one we read is Piper Morgan to the Rescue. So Piper Morgan, this is a series about a girl. She's the only child, and she has a single mom who kind of jumps around temp jobs. She goes all over the country and all over the place, getting different temp jobs, and each book is like her experience there. So in this one, she's working in a pet rescue, and Piper Morgan falls in love with some pets and has to like deal with them getting adopted and how to do her job and not get like too involved with the animals. And Piper is a kid. She's not working at the rescue, but she is pretty involved with these animals. So this was really cute. Next is Princess Posey in the First Grade Ballet. So Princess Posey is one of my favorite series that we're reading. These are really short and really quick and easy. There's pictures on almost every page, short chapters, all that kind of stuff. So this is about the first grade ballet. She is a first grader, so this is really age appropriate for my kids, and I just really like this. Next is Daisy Dreamer and the Sparkle Fairies and Imaginaries. So the premise of this series is that it's about a girl who gets this journal from her grandmother, and the journal has a bunch of different prompts and things of like to get her imagination going. And so she draws this imaginary friend, and he comes to life and brings her to the world of make-believe. So this one, there is some conflict in the world of make-believe between the Sparkle Fairies and the Imaginaries, and she's trying to help solve it. This is not my favorite series, just because I feel like the world of make-believe is not very well explained. The contemporary bits are great. The world of make-believe could use a little work, but still pretty enjoyable. Next is The Critter Club, which is another series that I really enjoyed. This is Liz Learns a Lesson. So this is summertime, and Liz has to go to summer school for math. She really wants to go to art club instead, but she has to go for math. And so she goes, and she thinks it's going to be terrible. And then, of course, it ends up being a little bit better. They get this class turtle, and it was a really cute story. I enjoyed it. And that is it for the middle grade. So now on to the adult things. So some of these books I read, you will see in my vlogs for the Roll Your Next Read project that I did, as well as the Catch-Up-a-thon 2023. So the books that I read for that, I'm not going to go into a ton of detail, but we've got Someone Knows by Lisa Scottoline. This is told in two parts. The first half is something that happened 20 years ago, and then the second half is these kids, teenagers as adults, and trying to still kind of live with the guilt of what happened. And it was really good. I really enjoy Lisa Scottoline. Definitely look up trigger warnings for this one because there are a lot. Next is The Last Word by Taylor Adams. Now, I did not like this book at all. I thought if you were going in as expecting like a satirical, this is kind of a joke about thriller books and thriller authors, then sure, maybe. But as an actual thriller, I could not take it seriously. It was not very good. Gave it 2 stars. Next is, I gave this one 3 stars. Next is Sister Stardust by Jane Greene. So this one I really didn't like, and I love Jane Greene. She writes women's fiction. She's a UK author, and I just really enjoy her. However, this was not good. This was her attempt into historical fiction, and it's about this woman who meets a historical figure. She's like a makeup model or something, I don't know, and gets pulled into the world of sex, drugs, and rock and roll in the 60s, and it was so boring. I didn't like it at all. Next is the only one that I don't have is The Block Party by Jamie Day, and this is a new release that is about suburban drama and a block party that goes wrong. It's kind of like a Big Little Lies-esque thing where this year something crazy happened at the block party, and you go back to a year before to get to know the whole town and cast of characters and then leading up to what happened. So it was really good. Next is The Night She Disappeared by Lisa Jewell. And this one was, let's see, what did I give this one? I think I gave this 3 stars. It's not my favorite Lisa Jewell by any means, but this is about a 19-year-old parents. They have a baby that's less than 1 or right around 1, and they go missing. And so it's about the girl and what happened to her. And it's told from the perspective of her mother and trying to figure out what happened to her, as well as her perspective from the times before. So sounds really intriguing, but this was not my favorite. Next is Meant to Be by Emily Giffin. Now, I called this one a romance. It could also be historical-esque, kind of, but you don't really feel like the timeline is historical. But this is about a Kennedy-esque family. And so he is kind of like JFK, and she is a girl that I think she becomes let's see, what does she become? I can't remember. She becomes well-known, a model or something. And but she comes from kind of the wrong side of the tracks. And so it's the JFK guy and this model starting a relationship, and there's a lot of not miscommunication, but I would say lack of communication, and I really don't like that. But otherwise, I loved this book, and I don't know why. Like, it is the sweetest romance, and my only other complaint, except for the lack of communication, is the end is kind of abrupt. But I love Emily Giffin. I feel like she does relationships in such a good way. I would highly recommend this one. Next is The Fifth Avenue Story Society by Rachel Hauck. So this is a Christian fiction about these people. We meet our first 2 characters. They both got in a fight at a wedding, and so they are in jail. And as they're leaving jail, they get this invitation to the Fifth Avenue Story Society, having no idea what that is. So then we also get this gal she's like an executive assistant, and she wants to become the CEO of this company. She works really hard. She really runs everything anyway, and she gets an invitation as well as 2 other people. one of which is kind of I can't remember. She's somehow famous. Again, maybe makeup, I don't know. And an older guy that doesn't seem to fit in anywhere. So it's their stories. Like I said, 3 men, 2 women. I was a little nervous that I wouldn't be as interested in the men's stories in a story like this, and I totally was. This was really good. I gave it 4 stars. And the Christian elements, are like the faith elements, really don't come in till the end. So if that's something you don't love in your books, I think this would still be one that you could read. Then we've got This Is How It Always Is by Laurie Frankel. So politics aside, but this book is about a family who they have 5 boys. They're born to 5 boys. And one of them from a young age says that he's a girl. And so it is his experience being transgender. Now, politics aside, like I said, and my opinions about transgender and all of that kind of stuff, or your opinions, I don't even know that it necessarily matters, because what this book is really about, or what I gleaned out of this book, is about these parents unconditional love and support and acceptance of their children. And we get some of that for their other kids as well. It is mainly told around Clyde, who becomes Poppy. And so it is a story about transgender things. And so if that is something you really don't want to read about, then don't. But like that, I just feel like this book was so good. It's eye-opening in regards to that, for sure. That is something I will be the first to admit I don't have a lot of experience with. And so this was really, I felt like, eye-opening to what that experience is like for others, which is why I love books so much, is just because I do feel like this gave me a decent portrayal of what that might be like, both from the parent and the child's perspective. But what I loved the most about this book is that these parents unconditionally accepted their children and loved their children. And they're a model of whatever your thing is, whatever is unique about you, we are going to love the heck out of you. And I just love that. So this was really good. And then the last one is another one that I really enjoyed, More Than a Body. Your Body is an Instrument, Not an Ornament. And this is by twin sisters named Lindsay and Lexie Kite. And this one was really good. If you are kind of new to the world of diet culture or body image stuff, this one is a great one, because this is about just pointing out all the ways that our culture objectifies women's bodies and where you might be getting these influences. And it's not a problem with you that makes you have body image issues or whatever the case may be. It is all of these ways that we are just getting bombarded with these messages and getting bombarded with the idea that our bodies are ornaments and not instruments, and that it's about what they look like, not how they work. And that's not what it's about. That is not what it's about. And so this was great reminders. It also gives you some advice on how to kind of stop it for the future generations, which obviously is really important to me as the mom of 3 girls. And I really enjoyed this book. So that is everything that I read in the second half of July. Let me know if you have read any of these books or what your thoughts are, and what was the best thing you read. So thank you so much for watching. We'll see you in the next one.